to another video. Today we're back in my sketchbook. This is one you guys haven't seen before. So over the weekend, I was kind of feeling like super jittery and like sort of kind of in a big old brain fog. I talked about that last week, and I was like, I need to finish the sketchbook. I need to finish it. I'm sick of it. I can't work in it anymore. And so I basically just sat in my car for like an hour and just did like 20 really super rough sketches just to finish off the sketchbook that I was working on. Yeah, it was already like half filled with like old stuff, and so the second half of it I was just filling with new things, but I was like really sick of it. I don't know why. It was like really messing with my brain, so I was like, I have to finish it. So I finished it. I don't know if I'm ever going to show you guys that one. I did finish it last week. I was just like, it's got like vent art in it, I guess, and I'm not entirely 100% cool with sharing vent art that's like super recent. Just, it's not like it's bad or anything, it's just like just shows like my mental state or whatever when I was working on it, and I was like, I don't know, maybe that's a little bit too much. So I don't know if I'm going to show it to you guys, but for now I am starting a new sketchbook, and I'll go ahead and tell you about it a little bit. It is the Royal Talons art creation sketchbook. I've been hearing a lot about these lately on the internet. Just people are like, they're really good. But I don't know if it's because they think the paper quality is really good, or if they think the paper quality is really good for the price, because it was only like $11 for an 8.5 by 11. I think the smaller ones are even cheaper than that. And it's got like 80 pages. So $11 for 80 pages on some cream colored paper, that's not bad. It's pretty good. And also it comes in this really cute like green color. I like this one a lot. The color of it, I think, honestly, is my favorite part of the sketchbook. It's not a bad sketchbook. I'm going to get into it in a second, but I'll talk about just a little bit what I'm drawing before I talk about the paper. This is a drawing of Kira, my hostess Kira, and I just wanted to draw her in her wedding dress. Honestly, I was like, I really want to draw something that takes me a little bit more time, something that I can be a little bit more proud of. I feel like lately I've not been able to be proud of my art. I don't really do much finished stuff anymore, and so I was like, I want to draw something finished, something that looks nice. So I was like, I'll just draw Kira in her wedding dress. And honestly, when I was initially sketching this out, I kind of wanted her to be holding the bouquet, like you could see her hands holding the roses, but I didn't sketch it small enough, so it's too big. She's holding the roses. They look like they're just there in front of her, but she's supposed to be holding them. But yeah, this is what this sketch is for. And so yeah, I'm using the Royal Talons art creation sketchbook, and you know what, people say that this is a really good sketchbook, but they're like, it's really bad for alcohol markers. And I can understand why they say that, because I did not do great with my alcohol markers. Honestly, I had refilled all my markers before I started working on them, on this piece in particular, just because I knew I was going to have to cover a lot of space. I drew her head really big, and so I was like, her face is going to take so much alcohol marker ink, so I filled it up prior, but as soon as I stuck like the marker onto the paper, they felt super dry and like not good at all. I was like, oh, this feels weird. I just filled up the marker, it feels super dry. And so also it was really patchy, and I didn't really like the blending too much. But honestly, since I went in knowing that this sketchbook does not take markers that well, my mindset was just like, I know it's not going to take markers well. It's okay. I already know going into it, you know? So that kind of helped me prepare a little bit more. So it's like, her face is like really patchy, but honestly, I'm like, I really don't care. And I think I was able to get a better look for the markers in the hair than I was for the face, just because the face is like a really large expanse of like flat color. And so that's a little bit hard to do in this sketchbook. At least it was for me. Maybe that marker was just not as filled up as I thought it was, but just for me, I felt like the paper was really sucking up the marker ink. And the paper is not exceptionally thick. It's actually, but it's not super thin either. I'm not sure what the poundage is on here, but it's not especially thick or anything. But yeah, and so it is this off-white cream sort of color, which I don't mind. You guys know that. My last sketchbook that you guys saw me finish was an off-white cream color. I think this one actually is a bit more of a yellow than the last one I had. I haven't actually been able to compare them, but I'm pretty sure that this is a little bit more yellow. So if you guys don't like that, that's fine. But they also sell these, what they have with like white paper also, but they don't come in these cute colors, like this cute green color that mine comes in. It doesn't come in that color. I think it's only like a khaki sort of color, like corkboard kind of color, but I'm not sure. And also I didn't really look into it too much, because I had already bought this one before I found out that they come in white paper, and I was like, it doesn't really matter to me if the paper is white. So yeah, so overall I would just say maybe not the best for alcohol markers, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. It's good. It's a good size. I haven't really been taking it out so much. Usually I'll take my sketchbook in my car and like draw on it and stuff. But I feel like the fact that I've been bringing my sketchbook with me in the car has sort of kind of been adding to me not wanting to draw so much. I've been pushing myself to draw like a lot, and just bringing my main sketchbook around has been bothering me. So I've not been bringing it around anymore. I've just been using my car sketchbook. And you're like, what is the difference between using your car sketchbook and your main sketchbook? And honestly, you guys, it's very different. It actually makes me feel a little bit more relieved, because my car sketchbook is like very much so more like what's it called, a doodle, like really honestly truly for doodles. Like my main sketchbook, it's got doodle stuff in it and like comics and stuff that I don't really, not stuff that's like super finished or anything. But my car sketchbook is really honestly truly, I just do whatever the fuck I want in there, and like it does not matter at all. Like it does not matter. It's just in the car really quick, and it's a lot more low maintenance, I guess you could say. It's just it just helps my brain a little bit better. So I'm not sure how well the sketchbook does when you take it outside and like throw it around and stuff. It's only been in my house so far, so it's still nice and clean. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you guys how well it does faring by taking it outside and stuff. But my assumption is probably not very well. Honestly, just looking at it, I feel like if I chuck this around too much, it's definitely gonna rip. But I don't know. Maybe it's much better quality than I'm giving it credit for. But yeah, other than that, I like it. It's like I said, it was only $11, you guys. $11 sketchbook, it's hella cheap. Usually I spend like $30 on a sketchbook, so $11 was a nice change of pace. I don't know if I'll buy another one, just because I don't know. I actually have so many sketchbooks that I really should not buy any more sketchbooks. And I haven't really even filled this one up very much. I've done like 4 pages in it, so it's not exceptionally filled up or anything yet. And I haven't even tried watercolor on it yet, so I'm not really sure how it's going to take watercolor or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I like it though, right? Honestly, when I draw on it, I don't really feel the sense of dread that I was feeling when I was using my other sketchbook, which just might have to do more with my mental state than an actual sketchbook. But starting a new sketchbook just helps you just feel a little bit better. Just like it's all new opportunities and stuff. And I didn't really get that with my last sketchbook because, like I said, it was already halfway filled. But this one just makes me feel a little bit more relief. So I'm not trying to put too much pressure on myself. And also I started with like, a nice cute drawing, and that also helps me a little bit more. Something nice and finished. I haven't finished anything really in a long time, except in my finished artwork sketchbook. And it's like I can still do finished artwork in my normal sketchbook. I kind of forgot about that. So that's what I did here. And also you can see drawing Kira with black hair today. Honestly, whenever I was drawing Kira, she had like tan skin, and then she had like brown hair, and I felt like that's what she was supposed to look like for a long time. But I was like, well, what if I just draw her hair black today? So technically, you might think that doesn't look like Kira because her hair is black, but I think I kind of like the black hair and the green eyes, you guys. I might just keep that. The tan skin, the black hair, and the green eyes. I think she looks really cute here. But it also might just be because she's smiling so wide, and she just looks cute because she's in a wedding dress. That might be like blinding me. But I don't know. I'm going to try to draw my characters with more color in the sketchbook. I know I just said it does not take alcohol markers very well, but that is going to help me, you guys, be a little bit more blasé and not care as much about what the colors look like on the paper, because I just need to start using color again. I'm not very good with color, and the only way you're going to get better with color is if you use color. And so I've been using like a rainbow sorts of pens and stuff in my sketchbooks, so that way it's not like black and white. But honestly, I don't really do much with color, and so I want to try to do a little bit more with color, and just trying to get my definitive colors for my OCs down, because honestly, I know what they look like in drawings. I don't know what their colors are, and I feel like I have to focus on that a little bit if I ever want to make like the comic, which I do. Honestly, I really want to do the comic. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but sometime soon. So yeah, I really want to do some stuff with the comic. But yeah, anyway, we have actually a second quote unquote product, I guess, to review. I guess product should not be in quotes, but over the weekend I was like honestly stress buying things. I was trying to comfort myself by buying shit, so I bought a lot of stuff over the weekend, you guys. And so I bought this. I didn't buy the sketchbook over the weekend, I already had the sketchbook, but I bought 2 sets of pens. And so the first set of pens I bought are these acrylic markers. You'll find out the other set of pens tomorrow, but I bought these acrylic paint markers from Artix. I totally forgot that Artix had used like AI in like their advertising and shit, and so I bought these without thinking about that. I totally fucking forgot, but I was like, I paid for them. So I don't know if I would recommend buying Artix products. I think they took down that AI stuff, but honestly, it's kind of like, what the hell, you guys? Why even do it in the first place? Maybe it was like some intern or something, and they fired them. I have no idea. But not talking about that too much. I guess I'll talk about the pens. I actually don't remember what these pens are called. Just give me 2 seconds. Okay, so it's the acrylic marker set. That's literally all they're called. It's the 36 set. And they do have a sort of different sorts of paint markers that Artix makes. From what I've saw, they've got like 3 different styles of pens. I don't know how they work, but this one is a no pump pen, so you just shake it and draw with it. You don't have to prime it, pump it, anything, do anything to it, just shake it and you're ready to go. And from what I see, the brush, it's not like a bristle brush. It's like a very spongy sort of brush, which is nice because I don't really like bristle brushes. I feel like I suck at using them, if I'm being honest. So yeah, it's like a nice spongy tip. It's sort of kind of similar to a Copic marker tip, but not quite as flexible, if that makes sense. If you guys ever tried a Copic marker, maybe that will be a little bit easier for you to understand. Yeah, so like I'm saying, it's got a very spongy tip. From what I was seeing, it says it has got strong coverage on the markers. I'm not entirely sure how true that is. You can see me sort of kind of coloring the flowers with this. I wanted the flowers to be white, so I just used the white and the yellow pen, one of the yellow pens, to get all of the coverage I wanted for the flowers. My mistake might have been I didn't erase the flowers and like the lacing I drew for her wedding dress, because I also did it on the wedding dress for the lacing. I didn't erase any of the pink pencil, so I was going over it multiple times, like 3 or 4 times, and it was not covering up the pencil. But that just might be my fault because I did not erase it even a little bit or lighten the sketch at all. I just went straight in with the marker pens. So maybe that was my fault on why it's even now currently. I sort of kind of gave up on trying to cover up all of the pink just because it was taking so long. This drawing took me 2 hours, and that was 40 minutes for the coloring of the skin and the hair, and then the rest of it was just trying to do the damn flowers and the dress. Took forever, you guys. So yeah, I was going over it multiple times. Thankfully the ink does actually not take super long to dry. That's kind of my biggest gripe with paint. It takes for fucking ever to dry. And this didn't take too long. I didn't really do too much blending with it. I was trying to keep it pretty much cell shaded for the flowers. So I didn't do any blending really. There's enough time where if you really wanted to, I think you could get some blending done with these markers. But I was not trying to blend, you guys. It's going to take forever. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do all that. So I was really just doing a very shell-shaded look. And so it didn't take too long, like between 30 seconds to a minute to get the paint to dry. And then you could put another layer on top of it. But it was taking me a long time just because I had to get in all the little nooks and crannies to get the yellow paint in there. And I felt like it really wasn't covering the pencil. But like I said, that was more on the fault of myself because I did not erase the pink pencil underneath before going over with the paint pens. But overall, I say they're good. They did the green and used for the petals really covered very well. I think it's because it's a darker color than the white and the yellow. But you know, it was fine. And I feel like it maybe would have covered it a little bit better if the paint was going over, like, you know, white paper. This is not white paper. This is yellow paper. So it had to fight a little bit harder than maybe it should have over top of the white paper. But that's okay. Like I said, I think it did a pretty good job. The only thing I really don't like about it, you guys, is if you've ever used paint on regular paper, every time I paint, I typically like to do it on canvas. I don't really like to paint on paper. Just because it's not really something I feel like I should do paint in my sketchbook casually. There's nothing wrong with doing it. You can do whatever you want, right? I just never think of it that way. I always think, yes, paint is for canvas. So I only ever use paint on canvas, and I think this is my first time in a long time using paint on paper, and it feels so gross and disgusting, you guys. I was testing this out on a separate, in my other sketchbook that I just finished this week, and I was like, ew, it feels disgusting. It's like grainy and like after it dries, right? It's like it feels like weird and plasticky because I don't know if you guys know this, but acrylic paint is like based on plastic, you know, it's plastic. You're just painting with plastic, if that makes sense. And so when I put it over top and I touch it, I cut the part out, but it was a part where I like touched it in the video and I was like, it's just so gross touching it. So I made sure that when I was painting, I finished the rest of the marker drawing first before I did the painting with the flowers. Because for a second I was like, I'll just do the flowers first to get it out of the way. And I was like, no, don't do that because you're gonna have to touch the flowers the whole time. And I'm glad that I saved it for last because just touching it is really grossing me out. You might be like, you're not really supposed to touch your artwork anyway, right? Because like the oils from your hands, they get all over the paper and then it deteriorates your art, which is true. You probably shouldn't touch your artwork. But for me, every time I like open my sketchbook, I always like run my hand over the drawing before I start working on anything else. I don't know why. That's just something weird that I do. I'm like, oh, that's my drawing. And so every time I run my hand over this drawing, I'm like, oh, it feels like paint. Which is not like the fault of the markers. It's a paint pen. It's going to feel like that. Every time you use paint, this has got a very distinctive texture, I've noticed anyway, because alcohol markers, they like soak into like the paper. You can't really feel them on top of the paper. It just feels like paper. But paint is like going on top of the paper, so you can feel it. And I don't like the way it feels, you guys. I don't like the way it feels. But overall, I'd say that the markers work pretty well. I haven't really tried any of the other colors just because I'm not really a paint person. You guys know this. Painting is not really my forte, but I I really needed to do some retail therapy. I was like, I need to do something. I need to shake it up. And they say one of the good things you can do if you're like get it really in an art red is to try some new art supplies. And so I was like, I'll just buy more alcohol markers. And I'm like, that's not new supplies. You use those all the time. And so I was like, you should do something new. And I was like, okay, I've been looking at these acrylic paint pens for a while. I'll buy those. And I really just didn't want to because I think painting is gross and I don't like it. And did painting these flowers make me like painting anymore? No, not really. But it was fine, I guess. I do have a painting I said I would do for my grandma, so I'm like, well, now I have these paint pens, so I should probably just do that painting for my grandma real quick. And it'll be on canvas and not on paper, so it might make me feel a little bit better. I don't mind the texture of canvas. I feel like you can't really feel the texture of acrylic paint too much on canvas anyway. I just feel like the canvas takes the paint better, and so it's better than it being on paper. I think the paper may be too porous or something. I don't know. But yeah, it was really grossing me out, you guys. And here you see me just basically just doing the eyes. I'm sort of kind of given up on finishing the flowers. I mean, they're pretty much finished. I thought about going over them with black line art after, and I was like, I kind of really don't want to do that. And then I was like, I guess I could go over them with like a yellow paint pen. And I was like, I really don't want to do that either. I was like, I really don't know what I want to do. So I just left them for now. I would say that they're finished. I thought about going over them with a black pen because it was actually pretty easy to go over the paint with a black pen. I kind of had to do it when I do her hair just because I add the veil. Honestly, you guys, I got to the end of this after I did like her dress and I was like, fuck, I forgot the veil. I wanted her to have a veil. And I wasn't really thinking about having her have the veil in front of her face. So I just put the veil behind her head. And just did like a little bit of a veil thing on top of her bun. Just so that way she had a veil because I was like, a veil is super important. I know not every bride has a veil, but I was like, it'll be cute. And also I could use it for like story reasons when I get to that point in the story. So I was like, she needs to have a veil. She needs a veil. So it took me a second. I had to get her a veil. And so after I did the veil, it started kind of got some of the paint pen in her hair. And so I just kind of went over that with my regular pen, and it went over pretty easily. But I felt like if I did it with the roses, it was gonna look too defined, and I was gonna mess up the way the roses looked. I really didn't want to do that, so I didn't end up doing that. And also, I was a little bit afraid that if I went over the roses with the paint pen, it was gonna start like chipping and being crusty, and it was gonna get on my hands, and I was like, I don't want that on my hands. So yeah, I didn't end up doing that, but I did my best, you guys. Honestly, after I did like the veil and stuff, I was like, she looks super cute here. I really like the way that the drawing turned out. Like I said, I don't dislike the flowers. I think the flowers look cute. I just feel like they look a little bit unfinished, and they're not really too separated from like her body, from the dress. I feel like they blended a little bit too much with the dress, and so maybe I'll just go over just behind it and put some like gray or something behind the flower, so that way it's just a little bit separated from her body. I just feel like it blends in a little bit too much, which is not something I like. I feel like her face looks cute and nice, and it does have black line art on her. So I'm like, well, maybe I should go back and add black line art to the flowers. Just somewhere. Just in the back. Just something needs a little bit more contrast. So that way it's not blending into itself. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I'm going to do a version of this digitally in the comic that I want the style that I want the comic to be in. I'm probably not going to show you guys just because I feel like it'd be kind of boring to see the same drawing twice. But I do want to work on that and just do it in the style that I want the comic to look like. And so that way I can figure it out. So that way it'll be a little bit more contrasting. So yeah, and what I wanted to do with that instead of the way that I did it on here. Like I said, I think the drawing is very cute. I think she looks good. I just think that the flowers just don't have enough contrast, and that's bothering me a little bit, you guys, because every time I look at the drawing, I'm like, oh, it's so cute, she looks so cute here, and then I'm like, those fucking flowers, though. But anyway, we're coming up on the end of the piece, you guys. Overall, I'd say the paper is pretty good, and the paint pens work pretty good. I don't really think this is super, like a review of these products, but I used them in this drawing. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much for spending this time with me. I will go ahead and see you in the next one. Bye.